goddamn program 6 months, and I said the marketplace needed the sports car. And your guy said, we're delaying it 6 months because we don't have the money. And we got to spread the investment because you were going broke that year. I remember it so well. So all I know is I wake up today and said you took 6 months longer, but when you stretched out the timing, everybody got 6 months later. Now, if it's engineering workload, I want to know the answer to that question. That is so goddamn basic to running a company that scares me. What the hell? I always end up, as you grow up in a company, is saying, I guess we're late timing because the boss at the last minute decided to change upholstery from red to green. That's crap.
Let me give you a brief answer. Jerry said it right. Dick is in the middle of it. Tensions are super high. I think he's overstating it. It's seen from the middle of it. The truth is, we're making the numbers.
The cards look good at St. Louis.
Okay. We're making the numbers reasonably. We're missing on some costs.
Yeah.
But what they're telling you is they're hanging on to the fingernails. They're getting it done, but they're not doing it with the style they would like to, and with the cost level they would have liked to, and they're losing time against tomorrow.
Well,
and that's what you gotta believe it or you don't.
If we're that close to disaster, we better take a look at getting the 50 engineers. Then we got a solution to a problem. If we're that tight, but I don't want to generalize on that, baby. I told you, I want to see it listed.
Iococca is the absolute worst loser in the world. If something goes wrong, he is absolutely beside himself.
You think that was key to getting you through to this stage, all of you?
Yeah, I think, if show me a good loser, now I'll show you a loser. But Iococca, there's no way the guy can lose, because he simply will not let it happen.
Mr. Iococca also is a product man supreme and a marketing man genius. When he puts all that together with his people skills, from common decency to a tremendous computer-type mind, he's just a hell of a fun guy to work under as long as you can take the beat.
When he's public, people describe him, and it's fairly apt, as a hip shooter, flamboyant. But he's a private man, and I would argue at times a shy man.
He doesn't like to admit, but he's very emotional. He's real sensitive. He likes to pretend that he isn't, but he really is. Yeah.
You see the softer side of it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's mush. There.
Mush?
Mush, absolute mush.
A soft touch, Lee Iococca?
Yes, push over.
In the first negotiation we had with Lee talked to our negotiating committee for about an hour and a half, telling us about the company and the situation it was in. And I learned more in that hour and a half about the auto industry than I had learned in the last 30 years I worked there.
I don't know anybody else in Detroit that could have done what he did. I don't know anybody else that has the same kind of a feeling for cars. I don't know anybody else that has the same toughness when it comes to doing what has to be done as far as people and situation and products are concerned. There may be somebody else that could have got it done, but I'll be damned if I know who it is. And I wouldn't want to go through it again to find out.
Tonight, a portrait of Lee Iococca as he emerges from a year of triumph, his personal values, his family, the struggles that come with success.
NBC News presents Iococca, an American Profile.
When you stop to think of it, it's only about a year and a half ago where he recommended this board that we sell the very building we're in at a fire sale. I think we were going to get 10 cents on the dollar. That's how hard up we were. So this is one we should savor for a while, at least 30 seconds, and then move on. But instead of pausing, I would ask who wants to move that we get the, well, I should say politely that we pay down the $800 million. I was going to say get the goddamn government out of our hair, but it wouldn't sound right. So I will entertain a motion. Who would like to move it? God, don't tell me you're not going to approve it after all. I'll kill myself.
I move it, Mr. Chairman.
You move it? Second? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Any discussion?
There should have been one item added to that list of the impact that they paid off the loan will have, and that additional item will be the rising expectation of the workers, where I think they'll expect...
Douglas Frazier of the United Auto Workers Union. the only labor leader on any major corporate board, a concession to the role the union played in Chrysler's comeback.
As you said, it's been a long, long struggle, and the workers in Chrysler made enormous sacrifices.
Anybody else want to speak for a constituent here? The suppliers will be in for higher prices, and the dealers, we just finished the dealer councils, they would like a piece of us right now. That's human nature, though, and we're going to try to share in the fruits of it when they're good, and when it's bad, we want to make sure we don't get back in the soup again like we did in past years.
There are laws against speeding. I'm serious. Iococca thumbs his nose at the speed law.
Iococca is repaying Chrysler's government-backed billion-dollar loan 7 years early, but he still has a problem. The government holds something called warrants, which can be converted to Chrysler stock. When the government took those warrants, the stock wasn't worth much. Now it's worth $250 million, and Iococca wants those warrants back. He made an offer, but the Reagan administration turned him down. This is an administration of hard-nosed businessmen, and they want a big profit.
I didn't get into detail with them, but I asked if it wouldn't be well for us to sit down and try to resolve this.
It's a tough public relations problem, though, for you as well, isn't it?
Well, you mean in what regard?
Well, I mean, the public will say, hey, wait a minute, we all helped you out at Chrysler, now you don't want us to have the money back.
I won't have. I'm going to give them $250 million profit for 36 months, comes to about 24% return on their money. I say it facetiously, but organized crime at 25, you can't hack it. It's called vigorage. You're not allowed to do that. So, I mean, you know, how high is it up here? So we're not reneging, and it's gotten lost that somehow we wanted to walk away from it. It was a success story beyond their fondest expectation. Remember what the purpose of this was, Tom, to save 600,000 jobs. We did that. To make sure there was never a dollar of taxpayer money at risk. There never was. They had collateral on the whole shooting match. So now they said, but we had a warrant called a sweetener, and we're entitled to it. And I like to be part of history. We'll be the first company to ever pay back a loan this fast, and probably the first guy to ever come back and give them money as a profit. You know, there's a very important point here. It's called equality of sacrifice. Everybody had to put up something to keep this company together, not just the government, the workers, everybody else. On the way back, we better make sure when we restore the fruits of all our labors that we go back about equally. I don't want anybody to say, boy, the government got greedy. Why did they get $300 million on a lousy 36 months guarantee? The bankers will never get that whole. The workers will probably never get that whole. So there's more here than just arguing about a few bucks. There's a principle involved. So I said we should resolve it. I had hoped we could do it on our day of great, glorious celebration, but it looks like it's not going to work out today.
You like doing business in this town?
No. First of all, it's 100 degrees out and about 110 inside this car. I don't like the weather, and I don't like the political atmosphere that they live and breathe every day.
What do you mean?
I couldn't fit into it. I like to think I'm a great compromiser, but I like to make decisions that go, and I'd last here about 3 days.
Our guest speaker today, making his third appearance at the National Press Club, is Lee Iococca, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Chrysler Corporation. The son of Italian immigrants, Lido Anthony Iococca was born in Allentown, Pennsylvania in 1924. His father ran a car rental business, mostly Fords, and Mr. Iococca has said that from the time he was a teenager, he knew he wanted to be a Ford executive. He graduated from Lehigh University in 3 years with an A average and a degree in industrial engineering. He went to work at Ford as an executive trainee in Dearborn, Michigan, but soon took a leave of absence to work on a master's degree in mechanical engineering at Princeton. He worked through a series of sales and marketing jobs at which he distinguished himself, and by the time he was 36, he was a vice president and general manager of the Ford division. Mr. Iococca is credited with being the father of the Mustang, which set automobile sales records, and at Ford, Mr. Iococca eventually rose to president and chief operating officer. But 5 years ago today, Chairman Henry Ford II fired him. According to stories at the time, Mr. Ford explained by saying, "Let's just say I don't like you." Mr. Iococca says that isn't so, but he tells people they'll have to wait for his autobiography to find out what really happened. A member of the press club pointed out to me yesterday that Mr. Iococca should not have been too upset. There never was a Ford in his future. His last name has always stood for, I am Chairman of Chrysler Corporation of America. Mr. Lee Iococca.
Thank you very much, Mary Kay, and distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. I was really shocked. I hadn't thought of this, but I was fired 5 years ago today, and I hate being reminded of it, Mary Kay. I thought this was to be a celebration. She knows how to spoil things. This is a day, by the way, that makes the last 3 miserable years all seem a little worthwhile. Today, I'm here to tell you that we are going to pay off the last $800 million in government-guaranteed loans, taking the outstanding debt down to 0. This isn't an everyday occurrence here in Washington, but as John Houseman might say, we at Chrysler borrow money the old-fashioned way. We pay it back.
Do you have a better feel for the people who work on the assembly lines and buy your cars, walking in off the street and mortgaging, part of their life to buy the Chrysler product these days as a result of what you've been through?
Sure. Yeah, you get people oriented. When you see people, we fired 20,000 white-collar workers. They came in to see good people, got caught in the maelstrom, don't know why, they got canned. They're people with mortgages and kids in college. They had to yank them out or they lost their house. It was tragedy. I saw it I never was that quite close to it. So yeah, it had an indelible effect on me. I'll never forget it. So we were being successful, but the guys, I said the ultimate price was paid by the 20,000 white-collar people we fired, really laid off, forever probably. The 40,000 blue-collar workers on the cutbacks of closing the 20 plants. And the 1,000 dealers who went bankrupt. They paid the ultimate price. They didn't share in the joys of this year, see.
You're a devout Roman Catholic.
I think I am, yes.
You go to confession?
I always believed that of all the things in the Catholic Church, a lot of people said, why would you want to go confess? We called it examination of conscience. And you had to review how you were living, and you had to say it out loud to a priest. I think people get into trouble, anybody, if they're not accountable to someone, because you don't do anything in this life without your own friends and family together through the strife, through the good days. That is so basic to me. That's all I thought about when I was with Chrysler. I got to do it with all these people. I got to show them how I'm helping them, and they in turn will help me. And I'm really accountable to those 600,000 people and their jobs. I mean, they're depending on me. I'm not alone, but I got to keep it together. I got to keep this ship afloat. I think you go back to your beginnings, your mother, your father, your religion, what you believe. I really do.
The end of that agreement would bring us to the same thing that General Motors and Ford had negotiated.
That's being laid off for now roughly 3 years, 3 months, and about 26 days. I think the recovery is good. And I'm kind of glad to see the people come back, but I think right now that those that are back and those that are sacrificed should be paid for their sacrifice.
Each man gave up close to $12,000 to $14,000 over the 3-year period, and that's a lot of money for a working man.
We're all interested in the contract to see, what's going to come up now and what kind of money we're going to get, but I tell you what, my main thing is I want to work,
I heard Owen Bieber on the radio, and the only words I got from him were that they met today and they're going after a bundle. And, you've got to ask what you're in business for. And what you're in business for is to make money, and we're making money. But don't get euphoric about this making money. I'll save this for the union tomorrow, but it goes something like this. We did have an interesting quarter, $310 million before taxes, $310 after taxes, because we're not paying taxes. We were paying taxes, only been $150 million. So we lost 10 quarters in a row, on average, $350 million every 90 days. Now we've had one good prospect. We just hit a little vein in the mine. We had one 310 quarter. The problem with the union is they want to bake in costs, break-evens go up, just bake them in, roll them up, and then when the cycle turns down, which it will, not in 84 and maybe not in 85, but sure as hell in 86 and 87, you get back in the soup, and you have to do stupid things. We're never going to do that again. I don't know how we'll negotiate. We're never going to, in this company again, pay benefits unless there's offsetting quality and productivity improvements, but we sure as hell aren't going to go borrow $1 billion to pay our workers $1 billion. So I assure you, we're not playing tough, but we're not going to get silly either.
We can continue the proper kind of relationship without being adversarial. I think we proved that at Chrysler. The quality program, particularly. I think we've learned, as I said before, that we got to negotiate some things that would take care of the situation like we now have, where we have to open up an agreement because the company has made some tremendous profits. But I think that it's going to work out the right way. We learn. We're always learning. I've learned. I've been at union negotiating for well, how old was I? First time, I guess I was 27 years old. And I thought I knew it all then. And every year I have to change my mind about that. And even now, I've had to change. The company's had to change.
I hope that they remember what we did and give from their hearts, you know, if there is such a thing.
Scares the hell out of me that we seem to be falling back to 2-3 years ago, where we're arguing back and forth like we weren't fighting on the same team here in the last 12 hours. I think in the end what we're going to end up having to do is we're going to have to pick a point beyond which we just can't go. And if in the end that means that they explain themselves to our employees and we explain ourselves to our employees, that's what it'll have to be.
I wouldn't throw my hat in before we go back with this last offer. I mean, hell, it's over $500 million already, as short a term as it is. We get to that glorious $25 an hour. But you said it right. Hell, it's an 8 or 9% contract again. How do you think we got in the soup in this business?
Look at the healthcare inflation line here, the latest one. For 1 year, $43 million, just the inflation in healthcare. No benefits, just the inflation. How do we keep eating that? We're up to what, 400 million now?
That's right.
On healthcare?
No, we have to reject what they just proposed.
Well, fine. I'm nervous, and I hope they are. So I don't mind stretching a little, but I'll tell you, there's a point here which we're just going to have to draw the line, and it's coming, I think, in the next 5 or 6 hours. The hell with it.
I'm obviously very unhappy to come here and to announce to you that we have concluded our talks with the company. We have not reached an agreement on a new contract. I'm deeply disappointed and very much disturbed that the Chrysler Corporation is unwilling to come forward with wage and benefit improvements that the Chrysler workers deserve.
And it's supposed to be the dead of winter after a big storm, you know. This hunter goes out, he's going to check his straps, and he sees what appears to be a branch laying on the top of the snow. But as he approaches the branch, he sees that it's really not a branch of a tree, but it's a snake. And evidently this snake had crawled out during a storm and it just froze stiff out on the snow. So that kind of fascinated him, and he looked at that, and the more he looked at it, the more it fascinated him, and he was very, very careful. He bent down and he picked up the snake, and he carried it back to the cabin. And he laid it down on the fireplace hearth and started a fire. And as the room warmed up, and he began to massage the snake, you know, the snake becomes soft, and pretty soon it started to move just a little bit. And boy, he was really delighted. There he was on his way to bring the snake back to life. So he goes over and he's warmed some soup, some milk. And And he puts it in a little bowl, and he brings it back over there and puts it by the snake's head. And as he put it there by the snake's head, the snake bit him. He said, "You ungrateful son of a bitch." He says, "I took you out of the snow, you're dead, frozen to death." He said, "I bring you into the cabin." He said, "I warm you up and I feed you, and now you bite me." And the snake looked up at the union, I should say, when I make that mistake when I say it. To the hunter, he said, "You knew I was a snake when you picked me up."
Now on the way back, it looks like we have got a problem, and we will have to learn to wrestle with success. But our job and your job is to maintain what I'll call amongst all. I mean, how fast can you get well again if everybody's saying, "Give me mine now so I can run and get out or retire or whatever"?
Stop and think of where they're at. Near as we can determine, the people are disappointed. They're not angry, they're not mad at us, they're not mad at the UAW, they're deeply disappointed because they wanted some money. Just like we wanted to give them some money. The biggest problem we got, I think, is the fact that GM is paying so much money. But GM is thinking about going over the small car business. They're going to give it away to the Japanese and just compete in the big car market and cream it. And I think we ought to stop the negotiation and get on with trying to communicate what we're trying to do at Chrysler.
The break-off of the labor talks could bring a strike, and the company couldn't survive that. What's more, the federal government has rejected Iococca's latest offer on the stock warrants. Instead, the warrants will go on sale to the public, and Chrysler stands to lose control of 14.5 million shares of its stock.
In the 5 years, we had a lot of dark days here. The last week has been my darkest, lousy 5 days, for what Hal is saying. All of a sudden, I look around, that's why that cartoon stunned me, at least the cartoonist got it straight, where he sees Uncle Sam is picking my pockets from behind, and I think it's the union. So it's a shame that it's gotten confused. All I want you guys to do is unconfuse it, if only for the record. Just unconfuse the issue.
The situation in the warrants is a little clearer.
You were asked the question many, many times. If you knew how bad it was, would you have done it?
I'll say you're there, damn head. Nobody would do that in life. If you knew it was, if God let you know what was coming next year, year after, a lot of guys would go out and shoot themselves. He don't let you know that, thank God. Okay? So that's a silly question in a way. Would you like to go in the infantry for 4 years and get shot at? No. Or if I had a choice, no. If I knew that, I wouldn't have joined up in a war. I know, but you can't. You don't know how bad it's going to be. So no. Well, that's destiny, they call it. Don't fight it. Next time we're going to control my destiny, though. Is this the level of trim we saw before in these cars? All except for the grill, huh?
Yeah. Wheel lips, rockers, vinyl roof on the Diplomat second series.
And we did nothing to the roofs on either one of these?
No, we wanted to keep them as far as we could away from the Fifth Avenue.
Many of the top Chrysler officers learned the car business at Ford, part of the Iococca team. They came here when Chrysler was in danger of going broke. Several took stock, which was almost worthless in lieu of large salaries. They've made their gamble pay off. Iococca's salary is around $400,000. Not all that much by major corporation standards, but he has stock options that would earn him around $17 million. And the Chrysler board just gave him another $5 million in stock to keep him on the job.
I had a chance. I didn't like this opportunity, but it turned out to be one to get fired from a big, big corporation and have a whole summer. It was a lousy summer to think about what I wanted to do in my life. And I decided I wanted to stay. I didn't want to go teach, and I didn't want to set up my own business. I didn't want to play golf. So I decided to stay in the only business I knew, cars, and the only game in town was Chrysler. So it took me 3 months, but I made that decision. There were other big blue-chip companies that wanted me to be their chief executive. Even though I was fired, they thought I was worth something. And I decided the airplane business or the paper business, metals business, it would take me a while to learn it, and I just didn't want to, I didn't enjoy it. I enjoy this. You know, the car business is a stereo business. The car business is an air conditioning business. The car business is, we use more textiles than the furniture business. We're the leading user of textiles in the United States. We're the leading user of plastics, the electronic gear, the robots to put the cars together. We are the biggest single customer of IBM, the auto industry. And they say, well, what the hell are you doing? Well, again, you say, well, you're not high-tech. You're not high-tech because the goddamn seams are crooked. And the guy, that's what he means by high tech. I don't like the sloppy way he put this car together. And that's what we've got to concentrate on.
Johnny, what are you doing on this?
This is all the way back as far as it can go. This is all the way back as far as it can go.
Pinch flanges like this. We got them flush. And then you're simply going to have to get your nugget weld so you can help with the sealer by moving it. The flange this way a bit.
The flange is short here.
Is the flange short? That's what I want to know.
The flange is short.
The second joke. Are you doing on the flange in this?
I haven't done a thing on my guys.
If your guy, I want a detail. I want Japanese and German quality. That ain't Japanese and German quality. Right? I don't want to talk. If the man said he wants a flange, okay, get him what he wants to have. Take it through Stewart Monday.
The Chrysler assembly plant in St. Louis. The 1984 models are just coming off the line. 60 an hour. 1 a minute. That's almost twice the production rate of Japan and Germany. 15,000 parts from 1,000 different sources. And now Chrysler is adding a new starter to this already complicated process. A sports car it hopes will attract younger customers. The organization of these production lines is a key part of Chrysler's comeback. They're turning out the same number of cars as in 1979, but with half the number of plants and a third fewer people.
We had 233 on the build side. Now, everything goes right, they should get 35 jobs next hour. That gets us 268. That means I'm back up the line to get your 317, 49 units.
Well, when are we going to run the goddamn thing?
Good question. Goddamn good question. I don't have an answer for it.
Well, let me head up there, maybe. I'm going out there.
What do you want? You want to count?
I'll call you from out there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're getting further and further in goddamn trouble and...
Okay, I'll call you from out there.
All right. I don't know what the bank is either.
Okay.
Bill Baratcher tries to keep the supplies moving from 782 outside contractors to the production line, but some of the suppliers aren't keeping up with the new Chrysler urgency.
Find Lewis and Leach for me. Yeah, is Leach or Wilson or Lewis in there?
No, we're not.
If you see one of them, tell them Burkhart's headed out there. Not very happy.
Sorry?
Tell him that Burkhart's on his way out there and he's not very happy.
Okay.
John Burkhart is the plant manager. He's on a tear this morning because a part shortage is backing up his production line. And in 10 days, Iococca is coming here with the national press for the unveiling of the new sports car.
I want it known this morning that we are in a position, as you travel this plant, to notice the vehicles out there shy parts. It is not stopping, Steve. It's continuing.
I need help out of the paint group at Highland Park, the Swanson's group. I need somebody down there badly. I've got an expediter down there.
Yeah, I got Dick Innemar at one plant of theirs. I got one of my other guys in their other plant. I got 14 people in that goddamn place. You got 2 here, don't you, Al?
Yeah.
I got 2 in Jefferson Assembly. I got 1 in each of the outside supplier, 1 supplier. That's 6. I got to keep 1 guy there to administer what the hell I give him to do, okay? And a few of the other guys are flying around to the other 150-some suppliers that are in trouble. And we've got 2 more assembly plants launching Monday. I want to tell you, fellas, it's time to forget.
There's a kind of military quality about it almost. They go to war every day, just the mechanics of it, and then dealing with all those people and making all the logistics come together.
I hate to generalize. Dauk and Sperlich and Scharf are all Germans, German-Americans. And they are well-disciplined guys, I want to tell you. And they go to war every day. They are really, they always have a battle action plan. And they're good at launch. They don't get unnerved. You know, a lot of guys at launch, when you got those 1,500 parts in the car coming together and you're missing 5 or 10 of the big ones and the car doesn't start, or there's no seat in it, like the ones he saw. It's tough to get them off the line, you know. By the way, that seat problem I looked at, that's a Japanese manufacturer. We went offshore to get, the first time we were going to do a seat with some manufacturer in Japan, and they really couldn't keep up with us.
What about the Italians?
What about?
Have you ever felt discrimination or any...
Once you establish your credentials and you're doing well, they don't care whether you're a Turk or a black, if you produce. And that's the way it is. You know, we were talking about being bottom line oriented, teaching everybody to be money makers. We used to call them buck smellers, guys who could make a buck. And I guess I was of that school, especially early on. I knew how to make money for the company. I knew how to get things done. And then there's no discrimination. There might have been, well, I won't get into that.
Why not?
With the Ford family,
Yeah.
who were, practiced, I think, the divine right of kings, and they were, I mean, they were cut above even the WASPs. So when you got down to the Italians or the Poles, I mean, they would never socialize with you. That's for sure. You could produce money for them. You weren't about to hobnob with them.
Yeah.
It never bothered me that much, but I knew I had to scratch for what I got. I knew nobody was going to say, there's a nice Italian boy, I'd like to take care of him or something, you know. You had to. And that's the work ethic. That's your parents. I mean, I think I told you this. I had to be first in my class. Jesus, I think I missed it. My class had 850, and I was 12th, and it was like I did something wrong.
In the eyes of your parents or in the eyes of
My father.
Yeah.
But he instilled in us that if you keep your nose to the grindstone, keep doing that, they won't care. He believed in the Statue of Liberty, and he believed in this freedom thing, you know, and your ability, if you work, it'll finally pay off. You might take a lot of crap going up the ladder, but it's worth it because you'll score.
Yeah, he was really a nice little boy from the beginning. And I think this, what he got today was given to him from God because he was a good, really good boy with a family, with the school, with the sister, with
The press always says, I can't believe that he is that way, but he is. He's very soft and family-oriented, very generous and kind. And I guess a lot of times in business he comes through tough, so they can't believe he has the other side.
I had an unusual father. He was fantastic. He came here as an immigrant, made millions of dollars, never really went to school. Always his own boss. He came over and he was a young kid and they threw him in the mines for one day, and that's the only day he ever worked for anybody in his life, that one day. He was savvy. He had the old street smarts. If anybody did, he did.
So you really are a direct descendant of your father.
Yeah, I'm a chip off the old block, as they say. Yeah, I think I am. I'm proud of it, too.
Mary McCleary was a receptionist at the Ford Truck Center in Chester, Pennsylvania in 1948 when she caught the eye of Lee Iococca. They courted 7 years, married and moved to Detroit. 2 daughters, Kathy and Leah, now in their early 20s. A close family, pulled together even more by Mary's long struggle with diabetes. She died in May.
The other day he called from the office. And I get a little ill. I said, gee, my daytime. I said, Lee, what's the matter? Oh, nothing, he said. I just thought of you. I want to say hello to you.
He calls a lot.
He calls me. Oh, yeah, I want to say hello to you. I said, oh, thanks. It's very nice of you.
You go to him for advice?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Good.
Oh, yeah. At least once a day.
You talk on the phone?
What do I do now?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple times a day.
Almost every day.
Every day.
Every day.
Twice a day, every day.
Yeah?
Yeah, at least.
You call him or he calls you? You call him or he calls you? But he's a really busy man. Is he there when you need him?
All the time. Every single time.
You don't get a lot of secretaries saying that he...
Never.
Never?
We have a direct hotline.
I mean, you don't get a secretary saying he'll have to call you back, or he's just...
Never. We've got a little number that we dial and he picks up every time.
Is that right?
Squads aren't bad, Mom. When we were little kids.
You better hurry up.
Our factory was closed. We used to go to an open farmer's market. This is in the late 20s, early 30s. And she's a great haggler at an open market. And she'd get mad when they were 10 cents a piece. You'd give them 3 for a quarter. Think of the price in those days. You had to take them live, though. And she had to go back and kill them in the cellar. Beat, feather them, eviscerate them. And she said, for years she went, she said, I gotta kill my own chickens. I don't like what they're doing with chicken. I gotta see it. I gotta see what's sick. So we always had squats. There were 3 for a quarter. 3 whole squats for a quarter. Can you believe that?
How do you people doing?
Yeah, just 1 second and I will.
I was doing something else. For the days, the price.
When Leah, remember Leah? She was crying in school. Sure got fired on the phone. And I couldn't tell her fast enough because that
Henry Ford leaked it the night before, you know, that's the story I gave you.
I'll never forget, this woman's face came up to the kitchen window.
Respected your privacy.
It was like there was one radio station. Berkshire, Pennsylvania, there was one radio station. And everyone had their doors open, it was really hot. And all of a sudden a thing came on the radio saying, my father had been fired. And like all of a sudden I ran out in the hall, there was one phone in the entire hall, and everyone just came pouring out of their rooms. And there was like 20 girls staying next to the phone, and I'm like talking to my dad, I'm like, is it true? And I started crying. All the girls were like, I never forgot, they're all staying around me going, it's true? You know, they're like looking at me like, oh my God, you know.
Was that a tough moment for you?
Well, yeah, because I was so all these miles away, and they were all at home, and
Was it hard to look them in the eye when you came home?
Not really. I had nothing to be ashamed of. I was surprised and shocked. And I wished I could have saved them that travail they were going through. I didn't have a chance the night before to sit him down because the way he did it. And that's something I won't forgive the bastard for, that moment in my life. The rest doesn't matter. The rest is if you maybe lost some money or lost your title. I got a bigger title now. I mean, I did it the real way. I told my kids that. Don't get mad, get even. Go out and do it in the marketplace. I wounded him badly. Took 5 years. I could have spilled my guts and maybe felt good inside if I'd done it in 5 minutes, but then what have I proved? Proved I can get mad. And that's always asked by you and 1,000 others. Is that a vendetta? No, you don't have enough time to get mad. If I'd been so mad, I couldn't have done what I did. I had to save my energy for doing it. Because I tell them, getting mad and ticked off at people sucks it right out of you. It just takes it right out of your heart and soul. You can't breathe if you do that. And I think we learn from that by talking about after the fact. You learn from good things, but you learn from lousy things, too. So you go through the paper and keep driving to where?
The lights will come on, the banner, and then there's a soundtrack of an engine starting and racing a couple of times, and then the sound of burning rubber. At the sound of burning rubber, then go.
When you drive in?
Yeah. I'll be there. I'll be there to tell you go. I'll be there to say go.
Somebody wave to us and we'll follow your hand.
All right.
Turtle Sea is Lee Iococca.
You're burning rubber.
They're pissed off. They didn't get the settlement settled.
They really are looking you over pretty good.
The management group is staring that way. Imagine what the workers are doing. They throw rocks.
Part of what you see today, if Mr. Iococca had traveled his plans, it would keep people coming out and actually shaking his hands in my aisle.
Yeah.
But because of the temperament that the UAW International reflects over these individuals, they've been instructed, they're told, let's not go overboard on this drive-off presentation. Let Mr. Iococca know that we're concerned, and that's really their position.
So what we're seeing here is a non-responsive workforce.
Yeah, it's almost like they're giving you the cold cold.
It was crazy and eerie to walk into a St. Louis plant and have all those guys just stare at you, no smiles, no hoots, no hollers, with a letter that says, since the executives are getting fat, make sure you cold shoulder Iococca all day, because we want to deliver a message to them. It's a sit-down strike of the mind, I call it. I never saw anything like that in my life. It almost scared me when I looked back on it. But the mood is bad, and the mood is going to get worse, and the rabble-rousing Unit 136 letter, local, is a takeoff of Beaver's letter.
What we ought to be working with Tom on now is a 2-year backloaded contract with no profit sharing.
Well, and oversimplified, the target is a 2-year contract, either backloaded or,
Backloaded.
or, which we'd like better, although the cash flow implications are worse, front-loaded if we could sell it in lieu of backloaded.
See if we can sell it.
I meant the bonus.
Well, there'll be one anyway. We'll have enough front loading to make it look like a bonus.
The problem, in my opinion, in January is not the worker, it's the union.
There's sort of a vacuum out there now. I don't know whether the rank and file is with you or with me, and we're sitting here
and they're gonna fall between the middle, and we're going out on strike. And I've been on so many strikes where the worker says, why are we out on strike? How the hell did we get, and everybody's, and then Fraser used to say, how are we out on strike? And I said, how are we out on strike? Well, we're out on strike, and we're all arguing with each other.
In the conversation I had with Mr. Iococca, I think I made it very clear what our position was, and the fact that he invited us over today would seem to me that the proposal that they're going to make would be touching those points. The $1.42 that they proposed in July didn't do it. It was $1 short, and I would think this proposal today would, I hope at least, will give us the basis for something.
What happened this summer? I mean, how did that thing come apart and then get put back together kind of in the nick of time?
Well, I think, I don't think the company realized completely the depth of the feeling of these workers, because what you have is a situation, if you go on a Ford and GM plant, you see workers doing identical work.
Right.
Except they're getting $2 an hour or more.
Yeah.
Now, you could rationalize that with the Chrysler workers when we were in hard times, but here you have a situation where this company, I predict, is going to make over $700 million this year. Yeah. And the workers know that. So they say, well, and you paid off the $800 million in loan guarantees. You've purchased warrants for over $300 million. Now, when are we going to come in and get our fair share?
We went with him to St. Louis, and the workers stiffed him in St. Louis.
Sure did.
It was a very effective protest. They turned their backs on him. They didn't boo him. They didn't cheer him. They didn't come forward. It was a real silent treatment. And it was kind of a psychological knife in his heart. He came out of there really affected by that.
And I think that affected the negotiations positively. I don't think there's any question about that. That what happened down in St. Louis, I think was perhaps a rude awakening. Because, you know, I was in this plant with him a few years ago, and he's accustomed to this kind of treatment. Workers were cheering because everybody's sort of rallying around the flag. He's helping save the company. And then you go from that kind of reception to the silent treatment he got in St. Louis. It had to have a tremendous impact.
Well, he even said to us that if I'm getting the silent treatment in St. Louis, think of what they're going to do to me in Jefferson.
Yeah, everything is relative, and I would say the St. Louis people were relatively polite.
And they would not have been in this plant 3 weeks later. No. It would have been a different time.
Yeah. How do you feel about Iococca?
Well, Iococca is a good salesman, number one.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that the Chrysler Corporation could have existed without the cooperation of Brother Fraser and Lee Iococca. I think they made a damn good team.
Yeah. Do you think Iococca's a friend of you guys, though?
As a trade unionist, I say no.
Yeah.
As a salesman, I said he's one of the best goddamn salesmen in the country.
Yeah. But you don't think that he's a big friend of the trade union movement?
I don't believe any chairman of a board is any friend of the trade union.
Why is that? I mean,
Well, that's my human belief.
And what about the credit that he gave you publicly? Was that good enough for you?
Yes, it was.
You like that?
Yes. Most certainly did. And we'll take any credit that anybody will give us, because number one, we are proud of our plant here, and we are proud of the product that we built. Because it's only shortly down the road, we'll be either number 2 or number 1.
You really believe that?
That's right.
I just like shaking hands with sales with the press corporation.
The man that I suspect my son wants to be when he grows up. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the new Chrysler Corporation, Mr. Lee Iococca.
Good evening to all you ladies and gentlemen.
2 years ago at the announcement show in this room, I told you that if I had known how great a struggle and how hard a struggle it was going to be, I don't think I'd have taken on the task. Well, tonight I can tell you that I'm glad I did. I think it was worth it. And if I never have another feeling of pride and love and affection, that's okay. Because I've had my share, and it was worth, I think, every damn miserable minute, and I hope you feel the same way. So, we had, finally, I have to say, to crawl, literally crawl to our government for help. For what? Well, to try and keep a dodo bird alive, in the opinion of many at the time, and like the Wall Street Journal said in an editorial, let Chrysler die with dignity. They said that in late '79. Well, today I say, and forgive me, you ladies in the audience, screw the Wall Street Journal. I think the mail I get with thousands of letters in a week and the people stopping in the street, there's one thing that cut through it all. It's not just identifying with success and winning, it's that they write me beautiful letters saying, if the word that would come through would be persevering, taking something very difficult, keeping your feet on the ground, and just plodding, and eventually good comes out of it. And you get people say, really, they're touching letters because the guy says, I was ready to declare Chapter 11, but you didn't, so the hell with it. I'm not going to declare bankruptcy. That's the easy way out. I'm going to slug this out. I'm going to go fight with my banker. I'm going to go fight for more customers. That's fulfilling to have somebody tell you that they're emulating you for that.
A smart businessman that I know said recently about Lee Iococca, boy, what he has done with his life is really terrific. All those good years at Ford and bringing back Chrysler and now paying off the loans. But the tragedy of Lee Iococca is that those triumphs are all in the past. And what is there now left for him?
That's because I read an article on that. That's because people that are writing them, or the guy who said that isn't thinking. I think people look at life wrong. They say, why are you headlong? What the hell are you trying to do? You're trying to be Pope or President of the United States? What do you want to do? So I want to rest. I want to enjoy the fruits of my labors.
Yeah, but people, Mr. Iococca, who have known you for a long time and watched how you function, find it very hard to believe.
They're wrong. They call it fire in the belly.
Right.
They call that. Mine is...
Yours is an inferno.
No, it's cooled off. It's been quenched. Somebody hit it with a big cold pail of water. I'm getting tired. There are a lot of things I want to do with the Statue of Liberty. This 2 days here is tough on me. But even last night, we're getting millions of dollars coming in, literally millions, and it's a labor of love and it's emotional. To do what? To rebuild the Statue of Liberty in Ellis Island. And what is that to do? To let us reflect on freedom. I mean, imagine, immigrant father comes here, sends me to school, I get a great education, I have the opportunity, I make something of it, and now you call me a hero. I worked at it, but work had happened, but in America. The guy came in, this guy, with $1 million of the day, and I can't mention his name. And I said, what's this for? Or why can't I mention your name? He said, because we want to pay back this country. In 50 years, my family has made so many millions in this great land of opportunity. We owe somebody something, so who do I give it to? You're going to give me a check for $1 million. Oh, that's touching. But he said, never tell anybody my name, because I don't want any publicity. We're doing it for our own inner feeling, our emotions, okay? I said, fine, give me the $1 million. I'll never use your name.
There we go. Somebody please, the door. Right, you get an ashtray there. Okay. Action, please. Boom. Only Chrysler backs every car we build with a 5-year or 50,000-mile protection plan. To turn a company around, get out of the way of the cue card, will you?
NBC News produced this program and is responsible for its content.